All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing a video on Lake Hickory. So if you're thinking about moving to Hickory, North Carolina, this video is all about the lake and all the surrounding parts that come to it. So stick with us because we're going to talk about it right now.
So you may have heard of Lake Hickory, but you want to know more about what it's like. There's a lot of different areas to consider. So to kind of start at the beginning, Lake Hickory is a man-made lake. It's actually the biggest in the Catawba River Basin. So it's a huge 4,200 acre lake. It's got over 100 miles of shoreline. So it's got a lot of room to play and live.
So when you're talking about man-made, did they just go in there with TNT and just blow out a hole?
I really don't know.
Is that how it works? Is that how this works?
Yeah.
You just go out there with TNT and just go
yeah.
make a lake.
And then they put up a dam. So we'll get into all of that. It's huge. So at the maximum depth.
She said man-made, so I figured it's TNT.
Something got blown up a long time ago. 1927. I got facts.
Oh,
1927.
Oh, that definitely means they got blown out with TNT.
Yeah. So it's 100 feet deep at its deepest point, and its average depth is around 33 feet. So it's plenty big to have lots of water sports and activities on. It's a huge destination for people wanting to have an affordable waterfront home in North Carolina. So it's a very desirable lake. It crosses over between Catawba County and Alexander County. And the way we're going to break this down for the video today is to consider that Highway 127 cuts right through the center of Lake Hickory.
Yep.
So we're going to consider that West Lake Hickory and East Lake Hickory.
As a matter of fact, here comes a boat right behind us. Oh, that's a jet ski.
And guys,
lame.
If you're wondering where we're actually at Geithner Park, which is on the southwest side of Lake Hickory. And as you can see,
there he goes.
Jet
there he goes. There he goes. I'm going to track him. There
goes the jet skier.
There he goes. Little jet skier. And don't be fooled. It is probably 90-something degrees right now in the humid. Just because it's a little overcast does not mean it's not cold. So hence the people in the boats right now going on that way. Hickory, on Lake Hickory. So
yeah. So they are heading east because we're on the far west side. Okay. So they're heading all the way back up to 127.
I can't tell.
Yeah. And this video
I'm
is backwards.
I'm looking at the camera.
So we'll hop right in and let's get started with the west side of Lake Hickory. And if you're wondering where this video is inspired by, it's actually by a comment that we received from one of you guys. So you guys asked for it and we wanted to bring it. So as with all of our videos, comment below what you want to see more of. So we'll jump right in.
Hey guys, welcome to Living in North Carolina channel. This channel is your ultimate guide to the authentic North Carolina experience. We cover everything from daily life to all the fun stuff in between.
So if you're a returning viewer, welcome back and give that like button a tap. It helps others find our channel more easily.
Bing, bing.
So while you're at it, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you're always in the loop when we drop new videos.
We're Adriano and this is Katie and we're real estate agents right here in North Carolina. We absolutely love it when people contact us about their upcoming move to North Carolina, whether through text messages, a phone call, or a quick email. Reach out to us and we can help you every step of the way. You can even schedule an appointment on our calendar using the link below.
So no matter how you choose to get in touch, know that we've got your back when it comes to making the move to North Carolina. All right, guys, so we're going to pretend like we're on a boat right now and we're under the 127 bridge. So we're right in the middle of the lake and you can see on the graphic above, there's a clear line that goes down the center, which is 127, east and west. So we're going to pretend like we're going to turn left at the bridge and we're going to take you down the lake with us. So right at the base of the bridge, one of the more popular marinas is Lakeside Marina. That's the first thing you notice on your right. It's a great place to store your boat, to rent a boat, to do some jet skiing. So it's a great little marina. You can buy bait if you want to go fishing for the day. You can get a daily fishing license if you don't have your fishing licenses. So Lakeside Marina is the first thing you see on your right. If you keep going down the lake, on your left is going to be Morse Ferry. And on your right is going to be Oliver's Landing. So you're basically on this water, which is the divide between Catawba County and Alexander County. So if you're on your boat and you're heading west on Lake Hickory, to the left of you is Catawba County and to the right of you is Alexander County. So a fun little story, and I think this is true, and I'm sure in the comments somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but where the names of those neighborhoods came from. There was a ferry.
Oh, I can take a wild guess what happened. I can get a wild guess.
He guessed, and it actually was
Maybe,
accurate.
I don't know. I think there was a guy called Moore, and there was a guy called Oliver, and Mr. Moore went and said, "Hey, Oliver, I need to get across to your landing, so I need you to have some sort of access over there. So I need a ferry across."
And
So I think Moore made the ferry, and Oliver said, "I got the landing.
It was something like that.
I got the landing.
I mean, that's what I heard.
Pull up your boat."
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was a little crossover between the two.
This is me making things up.
It makes sense though, because he was making a joke about it, and I was like, no, I think that's actually like what I heard was the case. So comment below if you're a local. You probably know this story better than I do, but I heard that.
I'm making it up. I can be completely wrong, so don't take my word for it. I just, like I said, I mentioned there's just interesting names around when you're
There's usually a purpose behind the names.
There's some sort of meaning on the name, so like I said, I just took a stab at it.
Well, I think it happens to be right, so
we'll see.
If it's true, it's a fun story. But so when you're going down the lake, you really do. You have Morse Ferry on one side, Oliver's Landing on the other. Both very prestigious communities. We've gone in depth about these on other videos, and we have some beautiful footage of what each of those offer. Of course, Oliver's Landing, you see golf course. Morse Ferry is more known for just that beautiful waterfront property. So if you keep going down the lake to your right, and it's called Upper Little River. So it is a little river.
It's Upper Little River?
It's called Upper Little River. And if you go down there, you'll find another marina, River's Edge Marina. Mm-hmm. That's another place that you can fuel up and get gas in your boat and all that. So just keep that in mind. There's not too much up there. It's very residential, but it's not main channel. It's a little river off Lake Hickory. So if you keep going down or continuing going down the water, you'll then reach Love Lady Access. I don't know the name for that one. I'm sure everybody could speculate.
Somebody was on some romantic getaway.
Love Lady.
And they were on a romantic getaway having, probably Chardonnay or some wine on the little boat, and they just called it.
And it's not that type of place. It's like a small little place to put your kayaks in. So
maybe there was kayaks.
I hate to disappoint.
Maybe it was kayaks.
Yeah. So there's boat ramps. So the reason I bring that up is if you want to live near Lake Hickory and you have a boat, but you don't live on Lake Hickory, we've already mentioned a few places you could put your boat in, because there's, of course, marinas. On this side of the lake, we already have, when we've talked about Wittenberg Access area, that's another place to put your boat in. Mm-hmm. And then Love Lady Access. Again, it's a little further west, and it's right before you curve to go south, but it's a southwest portion of the lake, and we'll get into that. But there's a lot of boat ramps and kayak ramps. It really is like a little cove that you can put your kayak in if you want to enjoy the water, but you don't want a ton of wake from the main channel. Because if you've ever been paddleboarding and a big boat comes by and it'll tip you over. As
you probably heard earlier, as we were recording, some of the wake from the boats that go by, it just starts coming up against the shoreline.
They book it through here. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind.
And that being said, just got to be careful when you're on the lake and it's busy times out of the year. If you're out here and you got kids or you're doing something, be cautious and careful, because if some people just kind of just rip on through the lake and the wakes, and if people are on their boats, it causes a lot of friction within the water, and people are trying to do things. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Especially it's annoying for some of our folks that
live on the water.
They live on the water. That is the one thing they complain about, saying they say, hey man, some of these guys are just going so fast through here, and just it just beats up on their property.
And if you're inner tubing and you're pulling the kids behind on like a big inflatable inner tube, jet skiers like to catch the wake of the boat. And if they're not careful, they don't realize, this is like a public service announcement. If you're out here on jet skis and boats, just be mindful, because sometimes you can't see. And there's these kids on these inner tubes. It scares me to death how fast people go. And guys, Lake Hickory is a great lake, and it's a lot less populated than Lake Norman. But I have heard so much about how congested Lake Norman has gotten. So consider Lake Hickory a great alternative to Lake Norman, in which you are a little safer. And then you have lakes like Roadhiss and Lake James, and we can get into all that. They're even less populated. So carrying on down the lake, the west side of the lake actually curves down south a little bit. Keep in mind, as we're on this west side of the lake, the majority of this is in Hickory city limits. And we're going to put up a graphic of the city of Hickory zoning, so you can see the west side of the left side of 127, or the west side of the lake as we're referring to it in this video, a lot of Hickory city limits. And you'll notice east of it, which we're going to get to in a minute, and it's not in the city limits. So carrying further down the lake, if you head south a little bit and you're still on the west side of 127, you're getting into what we call the Grace Chapel area. So when you're going down the lake, you'll see there's another turn you can take in the water, and it's called Gunpowder Creek. Gunpowder Creek actually connects through to a couple pretty big communities and another boat ramp. So if you want a place to put your boat in.
Gunpowder Creek sounds just like a cool place.
Yeah.
I just like the name.
Sounds like somewhere adventure would happen.
Something
Gunpowder.
adventurous, Gunpowder Creek, like Civil War,
Yeah.
Revolutionary War reenactments, and you just see people out there with their gunpowders and just in their muzzles and loading them, and then
That does sound
having
like
some sort of interaction. But anyway,
yeah,
it's just I think it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's Gunpowder Creek. It curves underneath Grace Chapel Road. So if you're on Grace Chapel Road, you'll actually go over Gunpowder Creek. And if you go down that little creek, so to speak, you'll find a couple really prestigious communities that's more considered like the Granite Falls area. Anchor's Landing and Riverbend.
Okay, Anchor's Landing. I've heard, you tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, Anchor's Landing, I've heard a lot of things. If you're looking to out of Hickory and you're looking at Granite Falls, there's a lot of restrictions and
a lot of rules.
The rules and regulations. If you're not looking to move someplace that
don't
you
go
don't,
to Anchor.
that has going to tell you what to do and how to do it, Anchor's Landing has a lot of.
It's a very active HOA with a lot of restrictions
HOA,
that are highly enforced.
Yeah. So,
beautiful community, nothing wrong with it.
So you look and you see these properties and then you're like, oh wow, these are gorgeous. However, keep in mind everything that I've heard since I've been here, they are very strict.
If you want to put up a shed, it has to be approved. If you want to put up a fence, it has to be approved. And a lot of communities have restrictions, but he's right. We have just heard that they're extra vigilant at Anchor's Landing.
Out of every community on Lake Hickory, this is the most I've heard with such negative input. They're saying, yeah, this place is beautiful, but the restrictions and everything that they ask you to do and not to do. So if you're not looking for that, don't consider that.
Yeah.
Don't consider Anchor's Landing.
Right. And guys, just like with every other area, Lake Hickory, it has communities and it has freestanding homes just out and about. If you're in city limits, you're going to be restricted by what the zoning allows out there. And that's why we put that map up there. But if you want no rules, no regulations, you want to do what you want, you want to be able to park your camper out in front of your house, you want to be able to have chickens, you hear the lake?
Here comes the
lake. How loud that got? Then maybe you don't want to be in a neighborhood per se. So there's a lot of options on Lake Hickory, and some have more rules than others. So it is worth noting. But on that west side of the lake, those two communities are on the Gunpowder Creek portion of Lake Hickory. Riverbend's a beautiful neighborhood.
Beautiful
neighborhood.
Yeah, we've sold had lots of clients in Riverbend. Nice, desirable area.
Yeah.
Over in Granite Falls.
Yep. And if you're on 321 and you see this huge Walmart, believe it or not, it's actually behind it. And you wouldn't know it. It's not like when it's tucked away back there. You actually go down a little road and you wouldn't even know it's back there. So it's not affected by the Walmart, but it would be very convenient if you live there.
The funny thing is when you go into Riverbend, the funniest thing, it's beautiful. I thought it was part of the community. You're driving through Riverbend, and all of a sudden you see this really, really nice nursing facility. Yeah. People make a joke about it. It's like, wow, that's where I'm heading after I leave here. And I'm going to go right on.
It's not part of the neighborhood.
It's not part of the neighborhood.
It's just near the entrance.
Yeah. So, and you drive in, beautiful neighborhood. And then fun fact, the clubhouse, they used to have a clubhouse in the area.
It was purchased.
And it was purchased
privately.
So unfortunately, Riverbend doesn't have a clubhouse.
Per se anymore. We could do a whole video about Riverbend because the amenities have changed.
Yeah.
Because there used to be a clubhouse for the residents. So that was like a whole big blow up. But also, guys, just to kind of put this in context, when we refer to North Lakes, this is the section we're referring to. So that's what locals call North Lakes, is that, ironically, the southwest side of the lake, we call it North Lakes. Don't ask me why. But it's that Gunpowder Creek area.
I think someone doesn't know how to read a compass.
I don't know. It's really messed up around here. And the coordinates and the grid system and all of that. But let's get out of Gunpowder Creek and let's just finish our little tour going down Lake Hickory. If you go far enough down the west side of Lake Hickory, you're going to end up in Lake Roadhiss. And then on the flip side, if you go far enough east, because all water bodies kind of connect, you'll end up in Lookout Shoals.
Question about Lake Roadhiss. Is it Roadhiss or Roadhiss?
It probably depends on who you ask. I've always called it Roadhiss. I don't know if that's right. Comment below.
Roadhiss,
Roadhiss. We have some weird names here.
I keep hearing there's different pronunciations for Roadhiss.
Yeah.
I say Roadhiss.
Well, one thing that's really cool about down this way, and this is before you get to Roadhiss, but even on the way here today, we're in Geithner Park. So we're on like the southwest side of Lake Hickory. We passed a lot of beautiful condos There's some waterfront condos on Lake Hickory, and a lot of them are here on this side of the lake. So if you want to be on the water, but you don't want to have to maintain your own seawall and keep up with all of that, you could always be in a condo community where all that you're responsible for is the inside walls. So you don't have to worry about the outside. That appeals to a lot of people. You know, that was a good reminder.
There's not as many. And I think I've asked a question about that because people are probably wondering, especially if you're wondering, say, why don't I see a lot of these condos you're talking about? Because I think builders have been trying to build more condos and townhomes in and around Hickory, and especially on the lakefront. I don't know if there's some sort of issue.
Well,
I haven't got a
so much
clear
shoreline. You can only develop.
I haven't got a clear answer to this, but it might be that they're just debating on having these, the city's not letting builders build what they're asking for because it's going to be in demand. And you know, it's an opportunity for anybody that's looking to move out to the Hickory area, that's a builder looking to invest and doing something like that. That can be something in the future, just something to think about.
Yeah. There's a lot of need for smaller, you know, condos, townhomes that are waterfront, but the ones that I've seen that are the most desirable, the hardest to get into, are the ones on the south side of the lake here. And they're actually called Lake Hickory condos. That's the name of the place. You can look it up. And it's between Glen Hilton Park and Geithner Park. So you're kind of curving around the lake, and then you get to the 321 bridge. And that's where we're going to end it here as far as the west side of Lake Hickory. So we've taken you officially from the 127 bridge all the way down to 321. And we've kind of hit some of the highlights in between. So definitely comment below if we've missed something, or if there's something on the west side of Lake Hickory that you like especially well, or you want us to do a video about. But that's the west and southwest side as you're going down the water.
Yep.
So stick with us. Let's go to the east side. All right, guys, the one place that we failed to mention was at the base of the 321 bridge on the far west side of the lake. You'll find the Lake Hickory Pub and Marina. And this place even has putt-putt, guys, I forgot. But it's a beautiful marina. It's a great place to rent your boats, rent jet skis, has a little ice cream shop, super cute. But we wanted to mention it because we didn't bring this up in the video earlier, so we're out here. And also across the way there, you can see the Lake Hickory Riverwalk actually goes right across here too. So there's a lot here on the west side of the lake, so be sure to check it out. All right, so let's go back to our bridge. We're back on 127. We're right in the middle of Lake Hickory. This time we're going to turn right, okay? So we're going to go right. We're on the east side of the lake. So you'll notice, again, the overlay here of the city of Hickory zoning. As we head right off the bridge, you get a lower density residential portion of Hickory. And then if you keep going east, you actually are not even in city limits anymore. You can see there's a little pocket, of course, at the country club there in the city limits. But you can see there's a lot of shoreline that, like we said before, if you don't want a lot of restrictions, this is probably where you want to be. And you'll notice if you go right at the bridge and you go down the water, it's less developed as the further you go down the water. So you don't see these huge properties and these stately, you know, Morse Ferry and Oliver's Landing and these waterfront estates. Things start spreading out a little more. You see more trees. You can see behind us, there's a lot of trees. There's a lot that doesn't appear to be developed, but it may be owned by somebody who has a small house back there. Some of it's very steep. It's too costly to build on. So there's a lot of things on this side that will look a little differently than on the west side. So as you're, you know, in your boat and you're going down the lake, you'll notice on the left, you will see what is called Middle Little River. That's the path to the sandbar, and that's what I want to tell you guys about. So if you're down the main channel, you'll see this little turn off to the left.
Which you hear a lot about is the sandbar.
The sandbar. It's where people hang out on the lake. So you go down Middle Little River. So what this is known for is a portion further up near Rink Dam Road, like you're heading up towards the water, towards Rink Dam Road. You'll notice that on a weekend, there's boats all tethered up and anchored in and
holding hands.
They tether their boats together and have like little lake parties, and
yeah, they're all holding
there's
hands.
Always kumbaya.
They're all holding hands.
So it's always a really happening place. Lots of music and people hanging out, and it's a happening place.
Yeah, you hear about it a lot.
You hear a lot about stuff that goes on at the sandbar. But luckily, they now have a sandbar marina and grill, which we've been there. We've been there. It's pretty good. It's a great grill.
They got good beer, lots of options. They got a lot of food.
Outside dining,
inside.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's happening in the summertime when it's warm into like October. And once it gets cold, I think they only have indoor. But it's kind of cool too that people can, you know, boat up to it.
Bring your boat.
They
just
tie
pull
up
up and eat. Yeah.
So you get that. You can come from the water, or you can just drive up to it and park in the parking lot.
Yeah. So if you're on Lake Hickory and you want like a whole day out on the water, you're most likely going to stop by the sandbar to hang out for a little while. And if you want to eat right off the water, that's one of the few places that offer that.
Yeah.
So that is, again, it's on the east side of the lake. So guys, there's a lot less destinations on the right side of the lake, or on the east side of the lake. And again, there's some beautiful homes, but they're kind of like freestanding in their own areas and not in a specific community per se. But one community that you will notice is the Lake Hickory RV Resort.
Oh yeah, the RV resort.
Yeah.
I was wondering about when I first saw it. Kind of threw me off in a minute.
Man, I don't have the numbers to tell you what these things go for, but those little tiny lots, it is really hard to get in there. They're permanent campsites.
And on the lake.
Yeah, I think they're seasonal. I can do some more research on this, but as I understand it, it's open seasonally, but the spots are really hard to get. And a lot of times people will sell them for quite a bit of money to be able to have the right to reserve those spots, because I believe the spots are leased, but the campers are owned, I think. So it's a really cool concept, and it's on the east side of the lake. Now that's also something to keep in mind if you don't want to see that. If you don't want to have an RV resort next to your property, just keep in mind there are some gorgeous, gorgeous homes right across the lake from there. Property values are great. It hasn't seemed to have affected anything, but just throwing that out there. It's a great community, and there's nothing wrong with it. Nobody seems to have any complaints about it, but for a good portion of the lake, that's your view across the lake. So keep that in mind. That's on the east side. If you keep going down the east side of Lake Hickory, you're eventually going to end up in Conover. There's a small portion of Conover that has waterfront property, which is funny to me because you don't associate Conover with the lake. But our kids went to camp at Treetop Adventure Camp. It's way on the end, and that's kind of where we're getting to. Riverbend Park, that's on the far east side of the lake. And then sweet little Treetop Adventure Camp on Lake Hickory. Yeah.
Little place, little camp. We took our girls, and they have rope courses.
It's like the true summer camp feeling.
Summer camp. It was about a week.
Yeah, like zip lines and making crafts out of sticks and stuff. It's super cute.
Yeah, and really to challenge your kid, like fear of heights. Like it kind of challenge them.
Yeah, like a ropes course.
Ropes course, they implement like certain levels. So
yeah,
I know that was the one thing that they came back like we had to go up the rope, and it was scary, and then there's going to be a bigger one and this and that. So it was fun to hear what they experienced.
It's good, and I think there might even be like some faith element to it where they kind of talk about that. And if your kids are like ours and they vary greatly in their interests and personalities, I would say 2 out of 3 of ours, 2 out of 3 enjoyed the camp, because one doesn't like spiders or nature or anything. She was like, no, I don't like this.
So we're not doing that this year, unfortunately.
But it's a great camp. We do highly recommend it. Great leadership, very organized. Kids were very safe, and they made a lot of memories. Time. Yeah. But it's on this far east side of the lake. And guys, if you want to have another anchor point of saying we're going to leave this video off of showing what was east of 127, we were really following the lake all the way down to Highway 16. That's where Riverbend Park is. So once you see 16, then, after that point, you're really getting into a whole different lake. So unless you want to go down that far, gosh, you're going to end up in Lookout Shoals, which is a smaller little sub-lake off of Lake Hickory. So that is an overview of from 127. If you go left or you go right, that should show you kind of what you're going to see and what it's going to be like and what type of properties there are.
Last thing I want to add for everybody, keep in mind all of this back here. Obviously, we mentioned it's man-made. Duke Power owns all of this. So you'll notice that if you're looking at properties on the water, there's parts of process that you have to make sure that that's permitted. So there's a little process to it.
Yeah.
They have to be tagged, and there's like certain tags that Duke Power has on there. So all of this, Duke Power owns it. So that means throughout the year, you'll notice the level. That's what, hence these sticks right behind.
Shows the water level.
Shows the water level, because throughout the year, they raise it and they lower it. So obviously in the winter, they lower it. And then the summertime, they raise it.
Yep.
So there's going to be a fluctuation throughout the year. So that's important. So people looking at, no matter if it's east, west side of Hickory, if you're looking at properties and you say, look, I want to buy something on the water, depth is important to me, then that's something to consider, because a lot of these different properties have different depth levels of, if you say, hey, look, I don't want to keep taking my boat in and out throughout the year. I just want to sit. Right. We'll cover it. We'll do our maintenance on it. It's under the dock. Fine, great. So that's something to consider. So I didn't know You know, that was one thing when I got here, I didn't know anything about that. I just thought it was just a lake and just, you know, you just bought a house on the lake. No. So that's a key component of if this is something of interest to keep in mind, because outsiders like me, I didn't know. So I'm going to make sure I share that in this video.
Definitely.
So, you know.
And if you're relocating here and you want to be on Lake Hickory, work with an agent that's familiar with lakefront property, because like he said, every dock has a little plate with a number on it. Permits have to be issued properly. And if you buy a property that wasn't permitted properly,
which happens a lot, we just did that happen to us.
It can end up being your problem. So you want to do your due diligence on that.
That happened to us on our last folks that we helped up on the water. They were selling the property, we helped them sell it, but they didn't change over the dock.
Yeah.
Permits.
So avoid all those hiccups and get the information that you need, and work with a trusted advisor. That's, of course, guys, we're happy to help you if you're moving out to Lake Hickory. We do it every day, helping people relocate here. So we'll look out for you. But had to mention that. Hopefully that's a good tour for you for the east side of Lake Hickory. And so that, in a nutshell, is Lake Hickory, going east or west off 127. I hope that this perspective has given you some indication of what it's like on either side and how it's different.
I hope
and how
it helps.
The same.
I know there's a lot of information that we try to compress all in this video.
Yes. Really, if you come out here and you visit, rent a boat, come out on the lake, like explore it from the water, and we'll take you guys out on the water sometime soon. But we'd love to show you around and give you a tour of Lake Hickory, and hopefully this video has been informative for you. Guys, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you can be informed of new videos as they come out. And comment below if there's things you want to know about, or specific parts of the lake or parts of Hickory or Charlotte that you want us to explore. We can do Lake Norman too and go out that way.
Which we will.
Yeah, for sure. And be sure to hit the notification bell, and that way you're alerted when new stuff comes out.
Especially when those new videos of like Norman and Charlotte or anything else that we do, or any subscriber or viewer that wants to watch.
So guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.